As vice chair, in the absence of the chair, I am calling this meeting to order at 5:35 p.m. It is a totally remote meeting. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and broadcast live over the Lunenburg Public Access channel, on Facebook Live on the Public Access Facebook page, and will be uploaded to the Lunenburg Access YouTube after the meeting. The agenda lists all of the topics which may be discussed at the meeting and are those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by the open meeting law. With that, is there any public comment from the board?
Because this is a pure Zoom meeting, you will want to take a roll call attendance.
Yes, thank you for that, Mr. Alonso. So I will now take attendance. Mr. Alonso.
Present.
Ms. Empty. Mr. Nizzolo.
Present.
Mr. Jeffries appears not to be present. I, Lou Franco, am present.
I didn't hear Renee. Did Ms. Emke respond?
I got her. Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay.
So my speakers are really weak. I don't know why this happens sometimes, but is there any public comment from the board?
No,
Okay.
not for me.
Any public comment from the public? I believe, Heather, are you monitoring that?
No one has their.
I don't see anybody out there.
No one has their hand up.
Okay. Okay, so this is a joint meeting with a member of the Board of Assessors to interview and appoint to the Board of Assessors to fill a vacancy that is one of the two vacancies that exists on that board currently until the May 2024 election. The candidate with us today, joining us today, is Mr. Brian LaFond of 247 Arbor Street. And if Mr. LaFond would like to introduce himself and present yourself, tell us who you are. I mean, I know who you are, but tell the board and the public who you are and what got you, what made you step forward? What prompted you to step forward for this?
I'm happy to do so. Brian LaFond from 247 Arbor Street. I've been in town for about 40 years, since 1983. I've spent 20 years in town government, 9 years on the planning board, about 3 years as a library board of trustees member, and about 8 years on the finance committee, several of them as the chairperson. I stepped back from those type of duties, felt that it was time. I had spent enough time doing town work for free. In the most recent situation that has come up with the Board of Assessors, it's always been my feeling that the government works for the people, and in this case, the government can't work until you have enough members. I'm happy to spend the time and effort, and I will make the commitment to work with as a member of the Board of Assessors, as a bridge, at least until the next election. Not anticipating going much further than that, but my hope is that we can get through the next year, find enough candidates to actually make the office work. I think the office has done a good job of keeping things going in the interim, but it's I think we need to have a full or mostly full board, and hopefully with the other candidate a completely full board. Just a little background on me. I've spent 50 years in business, mostly in high tech. Right now, I'm currently between contracts. I've been doing mostly contract work for the last several years. I'm one of those people that I think is objective. I try to make data-driven decisions. I'm all about open communications and transparency. Nothing happens behind closed doors. It needs to happen out in the front of people. I was a proponent of that when I was on each of the other town committees as well, boards and committees. I do have some history with some of you. You've mentioned Lou and Mr. Alonso. I believe I was your treasurer for one of your reelection campaigns about 2014,
Mhm.
give or take. So I know several of you. Mr. Rabbit, obviously I've spent some time talking to Mr. Rabbit in the past.
40 years.
Yeah. Several of you I don't know, and I would be happy to entertain any questions you have. And again, I'm willing to do the work.
You're muted.
Sorry if
Lou,
I
I
could
think.
kick this off. I don't have so many questions, but I do have statements because I know you pretty well. And I just want to thank you for stepping forward to this. I know that you had been thinking about it for a little while, and then just so you have some background, when Mr. LaFond was, I believe you were jogging or walking one morning last week. You stopped me while I was getting my trash can to inform me that you were ready to jump in and do this, and that made my week. So thank you. But I can attest to, I've known you for about 20 years. I've known Mr. LaFond for about 20 years. He's a neighbor across Arbor Street from me and down just a little bit. When we put out the call on August 8th for what an ideal candidate would look like, you check these boxes as far as I'm concerned. You're data driven, you are fair minded, you know how to work with people, you have an even temperament, and you will learn what you need to learn quickly. I know you'll be committed to doing it, and that you work with people very well. So, and you have a history of doing that. I remember when you were on the finance committee. So that's my testimonial in favor of you. So anyone else wish to have questions or comments? Tell the board.
I'll start then, because I also don't have questions, because as Brian noted, I've known him for about 25 years since I've been involved with town government, and he was my treasurer of one of my campaigns. I think 2014 is correct. And we've been friends for years, before that. He's the kind of person I had in mind, and I was actually going to call him, but then I'm not the kind of person to try to coax people into doing this. But I had him in mind because I know of my experiences with him and all his experience in town government. He really does, as Mr. Franco said, fit all the qualifications for what we were looking for. So I am beyond pleased that he has offered up his services, even if it's just as a bridge. We'll work on that when we get to it, but let's get through the bridge part first, Brian. But yeah, I mean, his experience in town government speaks for itself. He's a great committee person. He's not somebody, he's willing to do the work, but it's all, as he said, transparent and open and collaborative with his fellow board members. And that has always been my experience with him. And I have no doubt will continue to be my experience with him. So I thank him for coming forward and filling this very important bridge period.
You're muted, Lou. Well, maybe
I'm sorry. Any
okay.
questions or comments, Renee or Caesar? Renee, I'll turn to you.
Yeah, I was gonna just to add some additional comment. I'll say that when I saw your application come through, I was very happy. Just even on paper, I think your background and experience is fantastic. And then hearing you and kind of meeting you just briefly today, hearing you speak, and the other select board members providing feedback as well just reinforces everything that I saw in your application. And I want to thank you personally for coming forward and volunteering again.
Thank you.
And it's good to meet you.
Caesar?
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Just making sure, because I'm on my phone and I've never actually used Zoom on my phone before, so just want to make sure. I don't have any questions either. Very impressive resume. I think it'll definitely be an asset on the board. And it's good to see not only you, Brian, but the several people that have stepped forward to fill this role, since we're in a bit of a crisis here. So I'm glad that so many people, or a few people, stepped forward as quickly as they did.
I see that, well, I was going to turn to Mr. Rabbit in any event. So Mr. Rabbit is the sole member, existing member on the Board of Assessors right now. So he couldn't really call a meeting really technically to order.
That's correct.
Can't do that. But Mr. Rabbit, do you have comments or observations to offer?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for inviting me, my one lone self. And we couldn't, as you said, we couldn't hold a meeting. I've known Brian for how long? 40 years now, almost 40 years, Brian. And we've worked at similar companies. And I noticed because Brian was a quasi neighbor and we all worked at the same companies. You talk to each other and you learned, and very quickly that Brian was always somebody you could trust to deliver something. He was really good with the numbers. People respected him. People called him back a pile of times, right, Brian? For your contract work. I mean, so we couldn't have gotten any luckier than to be able to have somebody of his caliber and his commitment to the town. And his real big prize in this thing is he brings Deb with him, his wife, the librarian. But I'm just overjoyed that Brian, thank you so much. Sincerely, thank you. That's it.
Okay. Any comment from the town manager? You're muted.
No, hold on. I have to mute before she can unmute. We're in the same room, so hold on.
All right, thank you. I'm still getting it. Is that better? Yeah, thank you. No, just want to reiterate the comments. Thank you for stepping forward for this important position, and the timing is good. I think it will allow sufficient time for the modules that you will have to take before voting as on the filings that need to be done by the Board of Assessors. So thank you.
Thank you. We also have the interim principal assessor, Irina Sweezy, with us. Irina, did you have any comments or questions?
I would just like to welcome Brian on and to thank him very much for coming forward. And if there's anything at all I can help you with, questions you have, I'm in the office every day. Please don't hesitate to call or stop by or ask anything you need. I'll be glad to help you. And welcome aboard.
Thank you, and I will be taking you up on that.
Okay.
Okay, if there's no additional discussion, do I have a motion to appoint Mr. LaFond to the vacancy?
I move that we approve Mr. LaFond of 247 Arbor Street to the Board of Assessors, term to be re-up for the May 2024 election.
Second.
I will second that. We will do, unless there's additional discussion, which I don't think there will be, since there wasn't just before we moved to the motion. We'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Alonso.
Aye.
Ms. Emke.
Aye.
Mr. Nuzzola.
Aye.
And an aye from me. The ayes have it, 4-0.
No, and you have to ask Mr. Rabbit as well.
Oh, yes,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Rabbit. Yes,
Thank you.
thank you, Tom. Thank you. Okay. We have unanimous support of all members present. Welcome aboard, Mr. LaFond, and thank you very much.
And Mr. LaFond, as you already probably know, you need to go visit the town clerk, do the swearing part, and then work with Mr. Rabbit well, you may want to wait till next meeting because we have another candidate, but you can at least start scheduling meetings for the BOA now because we have a quorum until we get the third member, and you can start on the whatever courses you need to take and get set up there.
Yes, thank you for that, Mr. Alonso.
I have a request. So everyone who spoke about me today spoke in the past tense. Let's talk about me in the current, because this is not a memorial service. I will we'll come in tomorrow for swear in, if that's possible. And I'll get started right on the modules as quickly as I can. Just one limitation, I have previously scheduled some time away from the 2nd until the 11th of September, so I will not be available at that time.
Well, bring your study manuals.
Yeah, I'll bring my computer to my daughter's house and to my brother's house, and we'll go out and talk about it at a brewery.
I wish I had known that information first, Brian. I might have swayed my vote, but it's too late now.
Oh, I thought full disclosure, I didn't say when.
Okay,
And thank you all for your support. I really appreciate it.
thank you for yours and for stepping up and doing this. You've answered the call many times in town. This is absolutely huge to come and answer in this manner. So thank you. Mr. Rabbit, you have a comment?
Just cover, Brian had shared that information with us earlier, and it's fine. Because we've got another weekly lag. Brian is getting the materials. I'll be sending them to him probably tonight. And we're basically right now tentatively looking at our meetings moving to the evenings, 6:30 to 8:30, right, Rena? Wednesdays?
Wednesdays is a better.
Wednesdays, right. Wednesdays would work for everybody. We'll be able to allow people to participate more, see more. And so I think that's the direction we're going. And Brian, you've agreed as well with that time. So that's probably going to be it. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. With that, do we have any public comment from the town manager?
She says no.
Public comment from the public?
Nobody has a hand raised.
Okay. Any final public comment from the board?
No.
Nope.
Okay. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second it. Roll call vote. Mr. Alonso,
Aye.
Ms. Emke,
Aye.
Mr. Nizzolo,
Aye.
and an aye from myself. We are adjourned. Have a good evening, all.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Good night.
Yeah.
Night.
Night.